Hey everybody, today we're coming back with another product review. This is something I'm pretty excited to show you guys. I've had it for a few weeks now. I've used it for a few projects around the house, a couple construction jobs, and this is going to be the first review on our new camera. Quality, it may be a little less. This is a 720p video camera as opposed to a 1080p still photo camera. Let me know if you do have any issues with anything on this, audio, video quality, anything like that. We'll look into it. But one of the major complaints I've been getting is the sound of the autofocus on my still photo camera. Whenever I move something in its field of view, it has to adjust its depth of field. So this should solve that problem. There's a greater depth of field. If you do still have any problems with the camera, definitely let me know in the comments section. But jumping right into our real review here, what you're looking at is the 5-piece 18-volt kit from Ridgid. Ridgid is primarily sold at Home Depot. It's not actually a Home Depot brand, but they're kind of in bed together, Ridgid and Home Depot. They sell their power tools pretty much exclusively at Home Depot, and Home Depot kind of markets them as their own. You see the same orange scheme as, Home Depot. What comes in this kit, it is a 5-tool kit. So you're getting a circular saw, a little light, a work light, an impact driver, hammer drill, and a reciprocating saw. Now it's a pretty decent kit. I have to say, to start out with, I actually purchased the smaller kit, which was just an impact driver and a normal drill, not the hammer drill, which comes with two 1.5 amp batteries. This kit actually comes with two 3 amp batteries. That's one of the major drivers in actually picking up this kit as opposed to the smaller kit with just the 2 tools and 2 batteries. The big thing about Ridgid power tools: lifetime warranty on workmanship, materials, batteries. The batteries that come in this kit, lifetime warranted. And by lifetime, it says as long as I'm alive, because I'm the guy who registered it. So when I die, my kid can't go and get this replaced. But until I die, this is supposed to be covered under warranty. That's not true of all Ridgid power tools. If you buy this battery separately, it's not covered under a lifetime warranty. It's only covered in the kits. So with the 2-piece kit, where you get an impact driver and the standard drill and the two 1.5 amp hour batteries, that's all covered under a lifetime warranty. But if you go out and then buy a 3 amp hour battery, it's not covered for life. So with this kit, you get two 3 amp hour batteries covered for life. That was pretty much the only reason that I went from the impact drivers and drill kit to this 5-tool kit. I really don't do too much woodworking, so the circular saw and the reciprocating saw, they were kind of take it or leave it. They are very good quality from what I've used. Like I said, I've had it for a few weeks. You can see some wear on the circular saw blade already. That kind of backs up that I've used it. You can see that orange strip around the outside is pretty much worn off, but not completely, so I haven't used it too much. Just cutting through some 2x4s, things like that. One complaint I did read online is that some people had some trouble getting through some 2x4s with this circular saw. If you've got an 18-volt 3 amp hour battery on it, it has no problem. I went through at least 12 2x4s in one charge. The battery did wear down, but I mean, it's not, it's really for do-it-yourselfers. You could use it in a professional setting, I'm sure, but that's really not what it's for. If you're going to be using a circular saw all day, you should get a 120 volt model that's plugged in, and get a generator on the job site. Taking a look at some of the tools themselves, we'll start with the drill. It is a hammer drill. So in the other kit, you only get the impact driver and a standard drill without the hammer feature. I'm not going to really use the hammer feature for anything, but it's nice to have, and the drill itself just seems beefier. So this is what you get, and it does work fairly well. If we attach a battery just slides onto the bottom. Just make sure it's seated good. Both of the batteries do come with a battery gauge, so you press this button and it will show you how much life is left in the battery. There's 2 trigger buttons on these tools, on most of the tools. The bottom button just activates the LED light on the bottom. It is a nice bright light. It does illuminate your work surface pretty well. The top trigger activates the tool. So, I mean, it's a standard hammer drill, and two speeds. It has a drill setting, a screw setting, and a hammer setting. It actually has 24 speeds. These are your transmission gear. So on one, you get a little more torque but slower RPM. Two, you get higher RPM but a little less torque. This is the selector switch for backing in or out, and the middle section locks the trigger so that it can't be used. It does have a place on the back to hold a bit. And that's pretty much it for the drill. It's more or less a standard hammer drill, covered under that lifetime warranty, so if anything goes wrong with it, you return it to a Ridgid service center, and they'll take care of it for you. I have heard that they're expanding that so that you only have to bring it to a Home Depot. At this point, that's not the case. You do have to find a registered Ridgid service center, which most Home Depots aren't. So don't think that you can just bring it back to Home Depot necessarily unless you check first. But that's the hammer drill. Moving on, we'll take the battery off. Oh, and it does come with a handle. It's detachable. Just screws on and off if you want that. If you're going to be doing hammer drilling, you may need that to keep pressure on your work surface. Moving on to the impact driver. Now, I had never even used an impact driver before getting this kit. I've always just used a drill for both driving and drilling. But you can see it works almost exactly the same way. Got the button on the bottom that just activates the light if you want to see your work surface, and the top trigger, which actually activates the tool and runs the light at the same time. There's no way to run the tool without the light. But I haven't found battery life to be a problem, so I'm not too concerned about that. It's a fairly simple operation. You just plug in an impact driving bit and go to town. It works really well. I used it for driving some screws into some 2x4s. I did pre-drill the holes just because that's what you're supposed to do, but it did its job well. I actually used this to drive through a metal grate as well, some wood screws through it, just because you can. So it handles admirably, even under unideal circumstances. On the bottom here, you can see it does have a belt clip, so if you're going to be doing a lot of drilling and driving, you can have your drill in one hand and hang this on your belt. One thing about the two-piece kit is both tools, the drill and the impact driver, come with that clip. so you can have one on one side, one on one hip, and one on the other. With this kit, the 5 tool kit, only the impact driver comes with that, so you got to carry your drill around. But that's not a huge deal, and it's just something to point out, a difference between the 2-piece kit and the 5-piece kit. If you only need a drill and a driver, you're probably going to be better off with the 2-piece kit. Get the battery off again. I do plan on doing individual tool reviews from this kit, showing them actually in use, so those should be on my channel soon. That'll actually go more in depth with each tool and show you it functioning. This is the reciprocating saw. It's a fairly nice reciprocating saw. It does have oscillation, or orbital rather. If you're cutting through something like wood, it'll actually move like this through the wood, as opposed to straight like it would through metal or something like that, something harder that you just want to straight back and forth. Through wood, if it moves like this, it'll get some of that sawdust out of the way and stop some of the heat from building up. I should mention that's one thing I did run into with this tool, was it did overheat a couple of times. I've used it to chew through some 2x4s, which is pretty much my standard test for all of these tools, was how do they fare with a 2x4. It did really well with that, as long as I wasn't overworking the tool by really pressing down and trying to get through that wood as quickly as possible. I didn't have any binding, I didn't have any problems with it overheating. It handled 2x4s well. But then I did try to cut through actually a plastic pulley on my old washing machine motor, and I was just riding down through and it started to bind and have some trouble with that. I think again that was probably more me than the tool. I was probably pressing too hard, but I did have a couple of times when the tool would stop working and I need to let it cool for just a moment or two and then go back at it. So it is something I ran into, it is something I read about in the comments for the tool beforehand, and it's not that big of a deal because, like I said, I think it's more me than the tool. With some practice, I don't think you'd run into that. Just like the impact driver and the drill, one button on the bottom activates just the light, and then your normal trigger activates the tool itself. If you go a little bit slower, you can actually see it reciprocating, and then full speed, it's fairly loud. So just like all the other tools, just slides on and off. This tool does have a lock at the top, so you can see right now it's set to unlock. If we press it, it's set to lock, so you can't use it. It has that switch here for orbital. It's on, off. It's really nice. To install this edge guard right here, you just pull this down and that comes straight off. And to install the blade, you just turn, put the blade in, and let go, and it'll lock on. It really couldn't be simpler. I didn't have much experience with a reciprocating saw either before this kit. I have used one before, but this is my first real kit of power tools, so a lot of this stuff is new to me, but I really can't complain about ease of use because it's done its job, and it's really couldn't be much easier. Moving right along to the circular saw. I should mention that both saws do come with blades in the kit. I happen to buy blades for both of the saws with the kit just in case, and you don't need to because it comes with it. The circular saw does have a miter gauge on the front. Not sure how I'm going to catch that. Like that. So you can adjust the angle of the blade. Right now it's just at 0. but if we hit that, you can adjust it. So if you need to cut, say, 45, and it does click into place on some commonly used angles, which is nice. So if you need to cut a 45, you just move it until it clicks in, hold it there, and then when you cut through, your blade's going to be at a 45-degree angle. It can be helpful. It doesn't completely replace the need for a miter saw. It would certainly be easier for some projects to use a miter saw. If we install a battery, which just goes in the back here, and it does give a fairly good balance to the saw. It has a handhold up here and obviously here. To activate the saw, you hold down on this and pull the trigger. Very loud but effective. It does have a light again in the front to light up your work surface. What else about the circular saw? Again, not too much. I mean, it's a good quality saw. It does what it's supposed to do. Like I said, I did read some bad reviews about this circular saw, but I think that they were running into problems because they were using a 1.5 amp hour battery. With this 3 amp hour battery, I had no problems. I made multiple cuts with the on 2x4s, which are what people were complaining about, was that it would bind up in a 2x4. I think that they just didn't have the power that they need in that smaller battery. I think it was straining it and overheating it. These are lithium-ion batteries, and they are covered under a lifetime warranty, which is shocking and amazing. The final tool in the kit is the most exciting. The light. It's not the most exciting. It's actually the worst tool in the batch. The two-piece kit, if you buy it now, actually includes a work radio, which has AM/FM radio, and a 3.5mm headphone attachment, so you can plug in your iPod, your Android phone, anything that has a 3.5mm audio output. It's pretty much anything these days. So that's kind of the goodie that you get with that kit. With this kit, you get this work light. So the battery uses the same battery, attaches on the bottom. It's a little hard to attach the battery to this thing. You hear it just clicked in the second time. But functionally, it has the power button up here, so you can turn it on. Whoa. So that's the direct beam. It does have that, and it has a switch over here, so you can change that to a more diffused light over here if you need to light up a wider area but not quite as brightly. My problem with the light is that it seems hard to mount in a useful way. It does include this little bracket which pops out, and that's supposed to mount on a 2x4. I haven't been on a job site yet where we have 2x4s just lying around over our heads or something to mount this, and even if you do, you're still mounting it, say, like this, and then the only angle you have to turn is here. So if you need to illuminate what's directly below it, that bracket's not helping you. It'd be nice if it mounted like this, and then you could turn the light where you need it and adjust the angle, but you can't. It has to mount this way and turn. I may be missing something, but that's the way that I see it. You can have it sit on the battery and adjust the angle that way, but again, you can't illuminate what's beneath it, and that really detracts from its usability. You can set it here, like set it flat, and turn it up, but I just don't find it that useful. It is a very bright light, I do like that there's two settings to it, but ultimately I think the better pack-in bonus between this and the radio is the radio. So those are your 5 tools: light, circular saw, reciprocating saw, impact driver, drill. If you have any questions about this kit or anything else that you'd like to see, like I said, I plan on doing individual tool reviews, so you'll get some more information on each tool, get to see each one in action, probably on a 2x4. But if you do have any specific questions or want to see what they can do, let me know. One last thing to cover is actually this charger. Right here. So it charges 1 battery at a time, which is fine because you get 2, so you can have 1 in use, and 1 slides on right like that. It does have status indication lights over here as well, so you know when the battery's full. It has built-in overcharge protection, so it's not going to damage your batteries, although if it did, lifetime warranty, so you're good. The only other thing I can think to really cover, it comes with a pretty nice bag. Everything does fit very well in this bag. Like I'll show you that. Circular saw, reciprocating saw, hammer drill, impact driver, battery, second battery, charger, work light, and the handle for the hammer drill. So all that's in there. Just pull it together. It's got a nice heavy duty zipper on it. As you can see, plenty of room for everything. Makes a pretty hefty package, but it does work. It's going to get your tools where you need them. And I think that just about does it for the review. If you have any questions, comments, let me know. Let me know how the new cameras worked out. If you have any problems with audio, anything like that. I'm going to watch the videos, but if you may pick up on something I didn't, just let me know. Thanks.